So first you're going to need to draw your plate. So I draw where the top of my plate will be and the bottom. You can see I've left a bit of a gap at the top. Then I need to work out how wide my plate is going to be, and this is going to help me create the oval. I need to make sure there's a nice curve and it smoothly leads on from each point. It'll be a gentle curve at the top and a tighter curve at the sides. I do a few lines to make it so that it's the right curve that I would like. Then I'm going to do the same but in the middle, so the same width all the way around, the same distance from the outer line all the way around. You can see I do a few lines, not one straight line. Now time for the cake. So the point of my cake will be there, and the top of the cake will be there. This is going to be one of the vertices, one of the edges. And then from this point, I need to work out how high I want it to be. So I'm going to create a triangle on the top. So I've made that 10 centimetres, measuring how close it is to the top. And I want to make it the same distance on the other side of that line. So I worked out that it was 4.5 centimetres, it needs to be 4.5 centimetres the other way, and join it up. You can see my triangle forming. Looks a bit like a bird's foot at the moment. So I'm going to get rid of all the bits in the middle because the cake will be hiding all of that. And then I'm just going to do a slightly curved top for the edge of the cake. So now I'm measuring how tall that is, and that is, I decided to make it 8 centimetres rather than the 9. And I will need to do that the same vertically at the other 2 points of the triangle, 8 down. And then I can join them up. So now I have my basic shape. So now I'm going to do it freehand rather than with a ruler because a cake isn't perfectly cut. So it gives a bit of a natural feel. So I'm doing a bit of a border there around the edge where the icing would be. Doing it freehand and going over the straight lines gives it a more natural look. So the ruler's going away. And now I need to do the middle icing of the cake as well. So this needs to be parallel to the top line. And the same on the other side. Make sure it is parallel to the side of the triangle. Again, I'm making those edges more natural there. Now time for the cherry. So I'm doing the line where the cherry's sitting, slightly curved, a circle, just cut off a bit at the bottom, the dip where the stem's coming out, and then the stem for the cherry. Cherry on top of the cake. Just correcting the curve of the plate a little bit. Now to do the shadow. So I'm going right from the point and angling it slightly to show where the shadow's being cast. Now time to colour in. So I've decided to go for sort of a reddy chocolatey colour. So first of all I'm doing the outline, so that it helps me stop going over the edges when I start doing my colouring in. And I try and make it so that my colouring in, it all continues to go in the same direction. This helps it look like a really neat drawing. I'm doing a darker outline to make it really stand out. And again, I'm doing it freehand, no ruler. Once that is all coloured in neatly, I then need to use the same colour but make it a little bit darker where shadow may fall from the cherry. This will help add to the 3D effect. Now I'm drawing the outline of the rest of the icing, which will make it easier to colour in. Again, all freehand, no ruler now. Makes it look more real when it's a slightly organic line. So I've done one side, and that's a similar sort of shade to the top. Because this is the side where the shadow is going to be, I need to press a little bit harder, and that will make it darker, which makes it look more like a shadow. I'm now doing the actual cake part of it, so I've chosen a lighter yellow for this side, and a slightly different shade for this side of the cake, just to make it look that little bit darker. It's hard to make yellow dark, so you want one which has got a slightly different bit of orange to it. If you don't have another yellow, go over it in yellow and then go over slightly, lightly with a red, very lightly, to help create an orange, and that'll make it look a little darker. So now for the cherry. Now this is a little bit different because it's a spherical shape, circular 3D shape, spherical. I'm doing the dark edges and where the stalk sticks in. And then down at the bottom where it meets the shadow, that'll be where the darker red is, and it kind of curves around. Then I'll go ever so slightly lighter around the other side, and I want to get a little shiny spot. So it'll get lighter and lighter as it gets to that shinier spot there. So you can see two different shades of red there. And it gets lighter as it goes to the shiny patch. And when I do the stalk, I'll even do a little bit of shade in there. So one side would be much darker and then slightly lighter on the other side. Now for the shadow on the plate. So the plate has a slight dip in it, that's why we have the second line. So here I'm taking a black, but I'm not making it really dark, it's just going to be kind of grey. And it's dark at one point and then slightly fades out. But I'll only do this where the light is shining. So it's shining from the top left corner. So with the light being here, you can imagine the shadow that's being cast. So now we're going to go on to the shadow cast by the cake. So I'm choosing a blue colour here. Drawing in the basic line first and the edge of the plate, because that's where the shadow will stop, and also the ridge of the plate as well. And then I'm going to colour in the basic colour first. Remember, all going in one direction to make it look nice and smooth. It's kind of fanning out there. So I'm just putting down almost like a base colour, and I will build up the darker areas the closer we are to the cake. I'm doing the edge the other way there to really show off the ridge. Really want to darken that ridge there, make it really stand out. And the edge of the plate. See, again, I'm colouring all in the same direction. And by doing again over the top in a different direction, I'm making sure I'm covering the entire space going in that direction. Just darkens the colour a bit. And here I'm now going a bit darker, closer to the cake, because shadows tend to fade away. And I'll do this right at the base of the cake as well. So even though I am doing slightly different directions, you can't really see the different directions going on here. It's just creating, it's thickening the colour. And I'm doing it again. not pressing quite so hard to make it look like it's fading out. Now I'm getting a slightly different colour. This is more of a purple colour. This is just to add more depth to the darkest parts of the shadow. This won't be colouring the whole of the shadow, just the darkest parts. You can see the shadow extends a little bit further along the ridge part as well. Going even darker here with another shade of purple. So you can see how we're building up the colours here to create rich tones. So now, because it looks like the shadow just stops, I need to, there'll be a slight shadow from that ridge, so I'm continuing it round. But the light will be shining down on this bit, so it won't be as obvious. But here, because the light is slightly behind it, there'll be a bit more of a shadow. So I'm going over with the blue here to make it match the shadow of the cake a bit more. Now, to make it look really 3D, so I'm going to take the paper off and cut it out. To cut a circle, I cut up to the curve, not straight directly at it. When you cut up to a corner, don't cut using the tip of the scissors, control it and cut right up to that point. Tuck into the corner, cut past that point. Carefully watch to shut it off, and here I cut around stem and then I can cut in again rather than trying to curve in that tight corner. And because we have an obtuse corner here, it will be easier for me to turn in the corner. Follow the curve carefully, follow your lines carefully, cut it into the corner and continue. And then once you've finished, the cake looks super duper 3D.